Here we go. Oh my goodness. First of all, how exciting is that there's no buffering. We're just live. We're just going. Hello, everyone. For those of you that are joining me live, hello. And for those of you that are watching the replay, how are you on this beautiful Sunday? Ooh, literally burning my hand. I feel like if you're joining me live, please drop a hello in the comment section while I go, and I need to find like a longer Palo Santo stick so we can get ready. Okay. You know, it will be a good day when you start a brand new Palo Santo stick. If you're joining me live, hello. Welcome to your Sunday energetic update on what's happening, what's to come, what you can expect. We'll do a couple of channel messages, a few cards for the collective. And if you're watching this live, and you would like to get, here we go. If you would like to get a one card pull, just all you have to do is just drop your name in the chat, and hopefully we'll have time to do all of that. But for now, let's do a little bit of cleansing, a little bit of arriving on this beautiful Sunday, on this really feisty, fiery energy that we are so surrounded by at the present moment. And if you're not feeling it, you will absolutely will be feeling it. So I won't touch too much on astrology, but I wanted to touch on, I don't know, this is keep going out. Here we go. I wanted to make sure that the cards are cleansed because we're going to be pulling some cards really, really soon. And I wanted to make sure that I'm cleansed so that what you're actually receiving is what you need to hear today. So I thought that we would chat about a few themes today, but really I wanted to kind of touch on both on what's happening with you within your career, general guidance, and what's happening within your relationship. There's a few things that were kind of coming through. So we would chat about it. But first, before we do, just take a moment, get a little bit more comfortable than you are right now. If you feel so moved to do so, take a moment, close your eyes, take a deep breath through the nose, and release. Feel like we really, really need to drop those shoulders. Let's do one more deep breath together. Much better. Exhale. Beautiful. So as you're arriving, I wanted to really just get centered so that you are in that energetic state where you can receive the messages. And I'm in that energetic state where I can actually give you what you really need to hear without really spending too much time on filling in the blanks for you. So a couple of things that were kind of coming through that you might have already felt. And if you're brand new into really just listening to your intuition, working with intuitive tools, working with spirituality in general, then this might just feel like things are just annoying, or it might come across as is the same old thing that's happening, that's keep bothering you, that's keep coming up, that's keep really bugging you. And this is all I have for you for that. I want you to take a deep breath. We're going to release this right now together. So take a deep breath through the nose. Hold it. And gently exhale. So allow that to bring it away from you just a little bit further. Just create a little bit of distance. So this whole thing with shadow work, and we kind of talk about it like it's such a common thing and everybody knows what it is, but really, to me, shadow work is it's sort of like like this very sacred invitation to like lean into go into a little bit deeper into what's bothering you. And sometimes we think that we're so separate from the problems, or we're so separate from the things that bother us, or that has nothing to do with us. It's sort of like an external force that comes in and bothers us. When really it's basically just a mirror, like all of those external circumstances is a mirror to kind of show you where we really need to lean in and where we have some work to do. Those are can be our greatest teachers. And so it's very much about reframing how you really view obstacles, and how you view, especially if you have like something that's being really deeply emotionally charged. It's always an invitation to just look at it from a different point of view, you know? So if something comes up when you had a family get together, people are being ignorant, you might look at it like it's, people are just being ignorant. But the thing is that because you're reacting to it, there's something that it's showing you that you need to really lean into and get curious about. And when you do, you can really find not only wisdom in that, but you can kind of find aspects of where you were showing up ignorant, or where you were showing up, selfish or self-centered, or whatever you're trying to describe, right? So it's always an invitation to kind of lean in and see how does that really manifest within your own life, if it has, and see if it has shifted, or can you lean in and forgive yourself for being that way. And if you're still being that way, find out why, right? So there's definitely like repeat cycles that are kind of coming through, and it's so beautiful because we are starting not only a new lunar cycle, but a brand new astrological year, essentially, with the new moon. That I was kind of chatting you guys about that for a couple of days ago when we were chatting about it on Friday, but we're kind of going to extend on that a little bit. So you might see that there's going to be some triggers that are coming through within your relationships. We'll talk about that in a moment. There's also very much the need to really speak your truth. So you might feel really fired up because there's a lot of pent up things that are really trying to come through. So see if you can kind of give that an exit point where you can actually speak your truth that is authentic to you. You don't have to yell at people. You don't have to do any of that, but just allow that energetic and emotional charge to kind of diffuse. And I feel like a lot of you really have that pent up inside of you right now that is really dying for like an exit point. So just make sure that you don't leave that in. Don't leave energetic. That's what happens essentially when you don't process it, the emotion appropriately, or you don't give it an exit point, that it gets stuck in your tissues. And then later on in life, like it might not manifest as illness immediately, but it definitely gets lodged into certain tissues. So just kind of keep that in mind. And there's also this invitation of putting yourself first, but putting yourself first in the most beautiful way, where don't think the energy of like, oh my God, self-care, self-love, but think of it on a micro level of how can you place in each circumstance your needs just a little bit before anybody else's. And it's not to say be selfish, but it's be self first and then anything else after. So it's sort of like that invitation to serve you before you decide to serve anyone else. Because if you're constantly over giving, over promising, and really showing up in a way that you're really teaching everyone else that they really don't need to even lift a finger, while you're really overdoing it for the sake of overdoing it so that nobody really sees you. So it's like the sense of over deliverance so that it minimizes other people's lack of deliverance, if that makes sense. So it's like that idea of like, oh, I'll pick up the slack for you so that we don't pay attention to how much you're not pulling your weight, because I'm already pulling it for you. And I'm just going to pretend like I'm happy about it so that we're not talking about how self-centered you are. So that's sort of the energy that was kind of coming through for a couple of days, actually, where I really felt that collectively we're really tapping into this idea of like, no more, no, we're not doing this shit anymore. Because really it's not only is it not in alignment anymore, but it's time. Like it just feels like it's like that cycle has run its course. And it feels like that cycle. And I think that for some of us, we really need to kind of go through those motions and really feel that, because because it becomes a lot more of a visceral experience. So those were the main points, but I wanted to kind of touch on, I really wanted to touch on career, what's coming up for you within your career, and what's going to be coming up for you in your personal life, in your relationships, what to kind of pay attention to. They both carry a different theme that are kind of similar. So just keep that in mind. Hang on. Hydrate, always hydrate. Although it's coffee, so sometimes you just need a little bit. Here we go. So within your career, I feel like some of you are really going to be tapping into the Aries energy that we're really in right now. We're really in the thick of it. You're going to be using that momentum of just getting things started and getting things going. I feel like for some of you, you really have that. It's like this deep determination of just making things happen. And that very much comes through so strongly to just, it's time. Like I'm keep hearing this whole thing of like, it's time. Like, what are we still waiting for? What's the difference between now versus 3 weeks from now? So use that momentum, especially if you're feeling nudged in whatever directions. For some of you, is going to be starting your projects that you've been really delaying because you wanted to get that invitation or you wanted to get that extra confirmation. What I was getting really is that it's never really about the invitation. It's more about your conscious decision to really step into that space and then allow the experience to kind of teach you what you need to learn and what's working and what's not working. I feel like a lot of you can get really in your head about overthinking or trying to make sure that the circumstances are perfect when really there's not going to be, if failure is waiting for you on the other side, you're going to fail no matter how perfect those circumstances are. But then the opposite of that is true as well. When you set yourself up appropriately and you feel that the timing is right, then you're actually setting yourself up to succeed. So there's that invitation of just go use that momentum to just get going and trust yourself a little bit more than you normally would, which for a lot of us, that's a lot to ask because most of us actually don't trust ourselves. Most of us will overdoubt ourselves and overthink of what we're worth, you know? So it's really that invitation of just use everything you got to lean in and really believe that what you want is not only attainable, but it came to you for a reason. Especially if those goals and those aspirations are something that really scares you. And then within relationships, it's like this whole other ball game because within relationships, what was actually coming through is really be daring in the way that you speak your truth. Be daring about speaking your truth, especially again, it's like repeating cycles. You know, if you're seeing repeat cycles, again, that's an invitation for you to really clear the air, but also reset that contract that you have. So for some of you, that might actually be that for this next coming week, some of your meditation practices, if you're practicing regularly, is going to have to involve 1 or 2 sessions of cord cutting with a few people. Because I think that when old cycles return back, it's because there's some sort of a contract that has been laid down where, especially if it's repeating and you're like, I thought we already dealt with this. Like, why? It's a non-issue. Perfect. If it's a non-issue, please dissolve it because then you can just cut the cord, release it, and move on. And I think that you will feel lighter. So like the invitation for you to cleanse your own energy, create a boundary, use things like your tourmaline pieces are going to be fantastic. I do go into a lot more detail into which crystals to work with in some of my offerings. It has expired, unfortunately, but there's going to be a new one coming out. I think I will talk about it towards the end of this week, actually, because I will give it about a week and a half for people to kind of sign up and get going with it. But there's going to be a full moon offering that's going to be ready. So the idea is where I kind of give you not only altar offerings, but also I will give you like crystal recommendations that I think would be ideal to work with them so that you get like the most benefit out of it. So, but tourmaline, I think for this coming week is going to be fantastic for most of you, especially if you're going to be working with cord cutting. So that's all I wanted to mention about that. The relationships part is quite interesting because it's such a different theme than what I was getting within your career and within your work. So, but I'm definitely curious to see what's going to be coming up with the tarot and with the oracle cards. If you're joining me live, hello, hello. We're going to be looking at both the collective energies, and if you would like to get a personal card, drop your name. Okay, let's take a look first with the oracle of what you guys need to know. Now that I have finished cleansing the decks. So what's coming up for the collective for the week of April 4th, please? It's a no. That's what's coming up. It's a no. Whatever you're thinking, it's a no. We'll elaborate on this in a second. I keep hitting the microphone. I don't know why. So we have, to me, this feels like a pause. You know, this feels like just give it a minute before you lean in and start running, because there might be a storm coming. And I feel like that storm might be related to your relationships. And isn't that funny that I just mentioned that within your relationships, keep in mind that there might be an issue. And not so much of an, okay, I don't want to call it an issue. That sounds like there's a problem. And there's no problem. It's not that I'm getting that there's a problem. What I'm getting more is that relationships are like very, like it's a movable energy. It's very dynamic, right? So working together, I think, okay, I got it, because here's the third card. The third card is inspiration. Hopefully it comes through. So to me, this is all about just an invitation for you to take a pause collectively before it's sort of like don't rush. That's what it is. Sort of like don't rush and really take a look at the quality of your relationships. But then, especially within your, I feel like this for some of you is going to be within your personal partnerships where it's like the invitation to like reignite the spark. It's almost like you need to kind of lean back in of like what brought you together in the first place and see if you can do something new, but also can you reignite the passion? Can you not reignite, but like I think that there's passion there, but sometimes you just get so busy. And as we're so busy being busy, then we don't pay attention, right? So then you can kind of grow apart. And if you want like your path to kind of be in the same direction, and then I think that sometimes you do need that sense of inspiration, something new. So like this next coming week, especially take a look at, I feel like for some of you is going to be, I don't know, like doing things outdoors. Like I'm getting almost like for some of you it would be like on Pinterest, kind of looking at date ideas. But then for others, it will be just clearing the air of something that was creating this space between you and your partner so that you can kind of come together and really remember or really return to that mental space where you guys are vibrating on the same level. So sometimes that comes through as friction, and it comes through as yelling, and it comes through as heated debates and heated discussions. And sometimes those things are absolutely necessary because it clears space, but it also releases some of that stuck energy, and it clears the air about assumptions, it clears the air about so much. And I'm not really seeing that. I'm just seeing that like you guys will need to create some space so that you can kind of process of how you can really return back to reigniting something that is already there. It's always there on an underlying base, but it's almost like if you don't do this, there might be basically opportunities for you to reignite the passion between you and your partner. And if you're not in a relationship, then I feel like it's almost like an invitation for you to really take a beat in whoever's trying to come in, if that person is actually in alignment or if it's lust. So that's the other possibility as well. So take it as it resonates. If it resonates, then obviously lean in, because then that might be for you. But I also feel like some of you are going to be really embracing the Aries energy, really embracing this momentum of like, let's just make shit happen. Let's just go. Like it's like this really burning desire to just kind of get out there and really connect with others and really make connections and be out there, be seen, be heard. But it's sort of like not everybody's going to be resonating with that. So just take a minute, right? But I feel like with the Lovers card, it's also it's building connections, building relationships, right? I want to see what's coming up for career. Sometimes I don't know I want to work with the deck until it's like in front of me and I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a good one to work with. I don't. If you have tarot decks, you already know. Well, at least like for those of you that know me personally, you know that that's usually how I function. Oh my god, this is so good. You're gonna love this. This is just, I love this for you guys. As a collective, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. There it is. I wanted to check something. Okay. So here's what's happening for work, for career, work, side hustle. It's all the same. It's the same energy. What you guys need to know is that you are invited to lean into faith and to take that leap and to take that first step. And it's almost like you guys need to do that, because if you feel called, that's the best way to put it. So if you feel called, do it. This would be your divine invitation. This would be like the perfect time for you to do it. I mean, to be honest, I feel like I always kind of say that like it's right now is the right time, but really no, actually, like especially within your career, if it's something that you've been yearning for, perhaps it's a promotion, or if it's a different like it could be a different position, and you're just sort of wondering if you're just kind of wondering if this is the right time for you to make that career move, The answer is yes. But what it will require is perhaps for you to do a little bit of, you might need to do a little bit of clearing. For some of you, you might need to do a little bit of clearing, a little bit of releasing of the old mindsets and like the old perceptions of what this position will bring you or what that really means. Because it's also, I'm getting that, get it off the pedestal. So don't add so much energy to it. Pay attention to it, take some action towards it. But then the next thing that you actually really need is to lean in and trust that you're going to be held if you show up with the right intentions. So it's sort of like leaning in to trusting that whatever is being thrown at you is being thrown at you for a reason. And then the other aspect of it is to know you're also invited to set some boundaries, set some, it's almost like you need to create like the framework or like the container in what area you're going to be kind of floating around, right? So setting boundaries, and it could be literally just you speaking to your boss of under what circumstances that position or that next step makes sense for you. Or it could actually be, what I kind of feel this is more about is really being very clear of what you bring to the table. Because I feel like sometimes we sort of feel that it should just be given to us because we're wonderful. Yeah, of course you are. You're amazing, but you're the only one that knows that, right? So it's sort of like you need to have faith in you first. You need to be really freaking clear on what you bring to the table because others will never know. It's sort of like that whole idea of dying with your music inside of you. Yeah, because you're too scared of what will happen as a side effect if you show up for you. So again, like, remember the messages from the very beginning of this video when we were kind of talking about you first, like you first, before anything else, before anyone else, before you do anything else for others. So when you're speaking to potential employers or when you're speaking to your audience or when you're thinking about like taking that next step, please stop listening to people that will bring you down. Please. I know you have them in your circle because I had them in my circle. And honestly, when you listen to them, then you're giving your doubt a much bigger audience than it actually needs. So this would be your time to really flip that script and say, how about we lean into us first? How about we lean into what we bring to the table? Because others have no idea. Like, they will never know how freaking awesome you are until you tell them. It's like literally that simple. So if you don't feel like you're 100% there, it's totally cool. We're all working in progress anyway. But the thing is that if you never even show up to that invitation, then like nobody will ever know the tremendous value that you bring to whatever you show up to. And then we just have like this massive crow that just came by. So that's your sign. But I mean, with this 9 of inspiration, that's sort of what kind of messed me up a little bit because I feel like this 9 of inspiration, this to me is all about not so much setting boundaries, but just being really unapologetic of what you bring to the table, being really clear of in what ways are you able to really shine? How are you able to really come across, shine, help others, really show up for within your career the way that it actually creates value? And I think that sometimes we really don't like to kind of boast ourselves up, but honestly, like, nobody else will. Nobody else will see all of the value that you bring to the table, at least not to the capacity that you're thinking, except for you. So please lean in, trust yourself. Your invitation is to trust yourself, to lean into all of the great things that you bring to the table and go and freaking crush it because it's your time. Use this momentum that you're feeling. And if you're feeling like there's a lot of triggers and a lot of heaviness that is coming up for you before you can kind of make that momentum, then that's your invitation. Like, it's sort of like, okay, great. You know what? I understand that there's like all of these opportunities, but there's a lot of blockages. What do I do about that? Well, if you're ready, you're going to find those resources and those sources where you maybe work with a coach or you work with someone who can help you clear those blocks because being guided also to release all that heaviness, it can be like literally it can save you months, if not years, of just doing all of this inner work, and then you're just like, still not making progress. So, I mean, sometimes taking a leap of faith, it can literally just mean that you lean into what your needs are first before before you start kind of getting out there and hyping up others. Like, you have to kind of start trusting yourself first before anyone else will kind of show up for you and say, hey, you're actually pretty awesome. Which is, it's not, it doesn't come innate, it doesn't come natural to us, because we're always kind of thinking, we always see the value in others first before, or we see the beauty and the value in others first before we want to see it in ourselves. But you have to understand that you need to see that in you first, so that others can also highlight you for it. And like, a lot of the times we're freaking awesome, but people will never know because we're too afraid to speak about it, in the fear of like that one person that will come along and say, "Ugh, you suck." And it's like, you know what? There's always going to be people like that. There's always going to be people. I'm sorry to say, if you go into Walmart, they're going to be filled with 100 people. Most of them will be delightful. And then there's going to be that one person that had to wait an extra millisecond longer, who's going to be like, oh, this is so annoying. Yeah, no kidding. Like, do your inner work, fool. And then it's not going to be annoying. Why are you coming in a public place and being a fool? So please don't focus on the fool. Focus on the 100 other people that are like cheering you on and saying that you're freaking awesome. So, and I mean, honestly, I'm just saying. So sometimes we need that reminder of just like, think of yourself like your own inner cheerleader, because really you'll always find, sad and people that don't really want to cheer you on, or people that will bring you down, and it's a reflection on them, not on you. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I feel like it's going to be a good week, you guys. I feel like for career wise, it's going to be an interesting one. I would be very interested to find out how that kind of plays out for a lot of you, because it's Aries energy is always going to feel very fired up, and it's going to feel very like, let's make things happen. Like, we waited long enough. Like, what are we waiting for? And then like 1,000 ideas kind of come through. So just keep that in mind, that it's okay if that's what happens, but it's kind of part of the process. This is all I have. I know that some of you guys were coming and going. If you're watching the replay, please let me know in the comments that you are watching this as a replay. I would also love to hear where you're watching this from. I always kind of find this very fascinating, because I'm always kind of thinking that you're watching this from Canada, and like 95% of the time you don't. So it would be kind of interesting to see how many of you are coming from all of these different parts of the world, because that's the beauty of YouTube. I'm trying to find like the next like best time spot. I'm still kind of battling with the Sunday time spot, but I'm hoping to actually just land on 111. Fingers crossed. We're working on it, guys. I know that I'm going to be doing live streams on Sundays. So just quick announcement on this. So live streams are going to be happening on Sundays, and then on new moon and full moon weeks, I'm going to see if I can kind of pre-schedule them on the day of, or like the day before, so I can kind of give you guys a little bit of an update of what you can expect. We'll pull a couple of cards. Nevertheless, if you're watching any of these replays and this is the first time that we're meeting and you're just like, what is this live stream all about? Well, I not only wanted to give you guys a collective message and any channel messages that came through that really focuses on the week ahead, so you can kind of mentally and energetically prepare, but I'm also hoping that, like, if you wanted to get not so much of a personal reading, but you wanted to kind of get like a one quick hit card pull, and you keep missing the live stream because you have no idea what time it's on, comment on any of these live streams videos if it comes across your feed and you happen to enjoy it, because when you comment on it, I will be actually pulling a card for you on the next one. So it's either going to be on a Friday or it's going to be on a Sunday, but I'm hoping to actually just hop on every single Sunday so we can chat here, because Sundays is always like closing out the week, welcoming the new week. So it always kind of feels like a really beautiful energy to kind of tap into as you're preparing and you're finishing up your laundry. So if that's cool with you guys, it's cool with me. I always kind of love hopping on for a quick live chit chat, a little channel messages, see what you guys need to hear. If it resonated, it's for you. Keep in mind, if it didn't resonate just yet, but something just kind of caught your eye, it might actually be a prediction. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Come back and tell me if it is, because some of these messages that come through are really not for me. They're really for you guys. And I only find that out like after the fact that it came true. So it's kind of wild how that works. But anyway, hope that you guys enjoy this. But first of all, hope that you're having a fantastic weekend and you're taking care of yourself. And if you're in Canada, I hope that you're still keeping warm. And I cannot wait to see you guys. Well, first of all, thanks for watching if you are here. And I cannot wait to see you guys next week. So we'll chat soon. Bye.